That score you're looking at? That's the exact same website we built in parts 1 and 2. Pure HTML and CSS. No frameworks, no JavaScript libraries. And in this final part, you're going to watch us get there live. Most tutorials stop once the website looks finished. But looking finished and being production ready are two completely different things. The gap between them is what separates a student project from a site you'd confidently hand to a paying client. In part 3, we close that gap entirely. We'll optimize the site so it loads in under a second. We'll make it fully accessible and structured for Google-rich results. And we'll deploy it live for free with HTTPS in under 5 minutes. No frameworks, no JavaScript libraries, no servers to manage. The web platform functions as it always has, provided you know how to use it. Let's finish what we started. Most business websites score between 40 and 60 on Google's performance test. Ours is going to score above 95, using nothing but HTML and CSS. In this section, we'll make 5 targeted improvements that together transform a good-looking site into a genuinely fast one. There are no tools to install, no build process, and no complexity involved. Let's get into it. Each of these 5 steps costs almost nothing in time, but delivers real, measurable gains. We'll finish this section by running our site through Google's PageSpeed Insights tool, so you can see the difference with your own eyes. Step 1, Modern Image Formats, AVIF, which stands for AV1 Image File Format, and WebP, a format developed by Google for web images. Images are almost always the heaviest files on any web page. JPEG and PNG files that your camera or a stock image site gives you are larger than they need to be. 2 modern formats, WebP and AVIF, can shrink the same image by 30 to 70% with no visible loss in quality. WebP is an image format that provides lossy and lossless compression, while AVIF is an image format based on the AV1 video codec that also offers high compression efficiency. Every modern browser supports them. The trick is that we can't just rename a .jpg file to .avif. We need to actually convert it. And we need to fall back for the rare browser that doesn't support these formats yet. That's what the picture element is for. Converting your images. Go to squish.app. It's Google's free browser-based image converter. Browse or drag any image onto the page. On the right panel, change the format to WebP. Set the quality to around 50 to 80 and download. Do the same again and choose AVIF. You now have 3 versions of the same image: the original JPEG, a WebP version, and an AVIF version. Save all 3 into your images/folder. The picture element. Wherever we use an IMG tag for a visible image, we replace it with a picture element. The browser reads the sources from top to bottom and picks the first format it understands. We'll use AVIF first, as it has the smallest file size. Then, WebP is second because it's widely supported, and the original JPEG/PNG at the bottom as a guaranteed fallback. By doing so, no browser is left behind. The HTML code should look like this. Do this for every IMG tag across all 4 pages. The pattern is always the same: AVIF source, WebP source, then the original as the fallback, IMG. Keep the alt, width, height, and loading attributes on the IMG tag, not on the picture element. The hero background image. The hero's background image is set in CSS, not in HTML, so the picture element won't work here. Instead, we use a CSS technique. We write 2 rules stacked on top of each other. Browsers that support AVIF will use it. Browsers that don't will fall through to the JPEG. It's the CSS equivalent of the picture fallback pattern. Step 2, resource hints, preload, and preconnect. When a browser loads a web page, it discovers resources one by one as it reads through the HTML. By the time it finds your hero image, which is the largest, most visible thing on the page, it's already been reading for a fraction of a second. Resource hints let us tell the browser in advance. You're going to need this file. Start fetching it now. 2 hints matter for our site: preload for the hero image, and pre-connect for any external font service. Add the following HTML inside the head tag, after the title tag. Preload the hero image with this code. Add this link tag to the head of index.html only. It's only needed on the page that actually shows the hero. This one line tells the browser to start downloading the hero image the moment it reads the head, long before it reaches the hero section in the body. The result is a faster, largest contentful page. That's the official name for how quickly the main visible content appears. It's one of Google's 3 core ranking signals. This link tag is only needed on the page that shows the hero image. Pre-connect for Google Fonts. If your site loads fonts from Google Fonts or any other external service, add these 2 lines before the font link tag. Pre-connect opens the network connection to Google's servers early, so when a font request actually fires, the connection is already warm. It typically saves 100 to 300 milliseconds on the first load. If you're not using Google Fonts, which is actually the case for our site since we use system fonts, you can skip this step. Not adding unnecessary hints is itself a performance decision. Step 3. Applying critical CSS. Here's something most developers don't realize. That single line, the link tag that loads our style sheet, actually blocks the page from rendering. The browser refuses to show anything on screen until it is fully downloaded in process styles.css. For most of our file, that's fine, but the styles for the navigation and hero section are needed immediately before anything else. We can pull those styles out and place them directly in the head using a style tag. The browser applies them instantly with 0 network delay. Then the rest of the style sheet loads normally in the background. So, add the following above the fold CSS in the head section of index.html page as inline CSS. Note this practical rule. Critical CSS is whatever styles control the navigation and the first visible section, the hero. Everything below the fold, meaning everything the user has to scroll to reach, can wait for the full style sheet. We're not duplicating styles here permanently. In a production workflow, tools automate the extraction. But for our site, doing it manually takes 5 minutes and delivers the same result. Step 4. Fixing layout shift permanently. A layout shift is when the page visibly jumps as images and fonts load in. Google measures it with a score called CLS, Cumulative Layout Shift. A high CLS score hurts your ranking and, more importantly, it makes your site feel broken and unpolished to visitors. We already added width and height to our images in part 2. Let's make sure every single image across all pages has them, and add one more CSS rule that makes the fix bulletproof. Open CSS/styles.css. Scroll to the base, reset at the top, and add the following styles. This rule does 2 things. Display. Block removes the small gap that appears beneath inline images. This is a subtle but noticeable visual glitch on many sites. Height. Auto ensures that when we set a width attribute on an image, the height scales proportionally. Together with the width and height attributes on every IMG tag, the browser can now reserve exactly the right amount of space before the image downloads. The page never jumps. Now do a quick visual check by scanning through index.html, about.html, services.html, and contact.html. Highlight any IMG tag that's missing the width or height attributes and add them. The IMG tag HTML should look like this. Go through every page and confirm that every IMG has both a width and a height. The values don't have to be the exact pixel dimensions of the file. They just need to reflect the correct aspect ratio. A 1200 by 800 image and a 600 by 400 attribute produce the same ratio. The browser uses this ratio to reserve space, not the actual display size. Step 5. Measuring with page speed insights. Before we finish this section, let's measure what we've actually achieved. Page speed insights is Google's official tool. It tests your live URL and gives you 4 scores: performance, accessibility, best practices, and SEO. We care about all 4, but performance is what this section is about. Here are the 4 numbers that matter. After deploying in section 6, run this test on your own live URL and show your clients the results. A score above 90 puts your site in the top tier of business websites globally. Most agency-built sites using WordPress or React framework score in the 40s and 50s. Our site, built with nothing but HTML and CSS, beats them on every metric. 5 improvements. No tools to install, no commands to run, no build process. We converted our images to modern formats, told the browser what to load early, pulled the critical styles out of the network queue, and eliminated layout shift. In the next section, we'll make the site feel alive. Scroll-driven animations using pure CSS, no JavaScript required. Let's go. Our website looks professional. It's fast, it's accessible, and it works on every device. But right now, it's completely static. Every section just sits there waiting. Modern business websites use motion to guide attention, reward scrolling, and signal quality. In this section, we'll add scroll-driven animations entirely in CSS. No JavaScript, no libraries, just 2 modern CSS properties, scroll timeline and view timeline. They're designed specifically for this. Normally, CSS animations play the moment a page loads, whether the user sees the element or not. Scroll-driven animations change that. They tie an animation's progress directly to the scroll position. The animation only plays when the element enters the viewport. The moment it comes into view, it comes to life. There are 2 tools for this. The first is the view timeline. This tool tracks when an individual element enters and exits the viewport. The second is the scroll timeline, which tracks the overall scroll progress of the entire page. We'll use both in our project. Before we build, a quick note on browser support. Scroll-driven animations are supported in Chrome 1.15+, Edge 1.15+, and Safari added support in version 18, released in 2024. For any browser that doesn't support them yet, like Firefox, the fallback is simply the default state. The page elements appear normally without animation. The content is always visible. The animation is progressive enhancement, never a requirement. The reading progress bar. We'll start with the reading progress bar, a thin strip at the top of the page that fills as the user scrolls. It's subtle, but it's one of those details that makes a website feel polished and considered. And the entire effect is 4 lines of CSS. Open styles.css and paste this code right after the base reset, before the CSS variables. The key line is animation timeline, scroll, root block. This tells the browser to drive the animation not by time, but by the scroll position of the root element, that is, the page itself along the block axis, which means top to bottom. As the user scrolls from top to bottom, the animation progresses from 0% to 100%. Now open index.html and add 1 line right after the opening body tag. Add the same line to the other 3 pages as well. The aria hidden equals true attribute hides it from screen readers because of the visual decoration, not meaningful content. Save and reload. Now scroll. That one CSS property, animation timeline, does something that used to require 20 lines of JavaScript. That's the power of the modern CSS platform. In parts 1 and 2, you wrote CSS the way most developers start, a long style sheet that grows rule by rule. That approach works fine for a small site, but as projects grow, styles start conflicting with each other in unpredictable ways. One rule overrides another unexpectedly. You add, important to fix it, then another, important to fix that. Before long, the style sheet is fragile and difficult to maintain. In this section, you will learn 4 modern CSS tools that solve these problems cleanly. No frameworks, no JavaScript. These are the tools professional developers use in 2026 to keep style sheets scalable, readable, and conflict-free. Every CSS rule has a specificity. This attribute is a score the browser uses to decide which rule wins when two rules target the same element. The higher the specificity, the more the rule wins. This phenomenon is why developers end up writing overly complicated selectors or adding important everywhere to force their styles to apply. Layer gives you a better tool. Instead of fighting specificity, you define named layers and tell the browser the order in which those layers should be applied. Rules in a later layer always win over rules in an earlier layer, regardless of selector complexity. This means you can write simple, clean selectors and still have full control over which styles take priority. For a site like ours, 3 layers are all we need, namely 1. Base layer. These are browser reset and root variables. They are the foundation every other style builds on. 2. Components layer. These are reusable sections such as navigation, cards, footer, and forms. 3. Utilities. They are single-purpose overrides like spacing tweaks, alignment, and display adjustments. The rule is simple. Utilities always beat components. Components always beat base. You declare this once at the top of the style sheet, and the browser respects it everywhere. Step 1. Declare the layer order. Open CSS/styles.css. Add the following as the very first line of the file, before any other CSS at layer base. Components, utilities. This line comes first because declaring layers before any rules locks in their priority order. If you declare layers inside rule blocks later, the order becomes unpredictable. Step 2. Move the base reset into the base layer. Find the CSS reset at the top of your style sheet. That is, the block that removes default margins and padding. Wrap it inside the layer base like this. Step 3. Move component styles into the components layer. Everything that styles a specific part of the site, including the header, navigation, hero, services cards, and footer belongs in the components layer. Wrap all of that existing CSS in a curly braces. Note, you are not rewriting any CSS here. You're only wrapping the existing rules inside at layer components. Every style you already wrote continues to work exactly the same way. In case your site breaks, remove the components layer and leave your code as it is. Step 4. Create a utilities layer for quick overrides. Add a new utilities layer at the end of the style sheet. This section is where you put small, single-purpose classes that you use across the site for quick adjustments. For example, add the following styles. The .visually hidden class is a professional accessibility tool. It hides content from the screen visually, but keeps it readable by screen readers. You can use it to add descriptive labels to icons and decorative elements without showing them visually on the page. With layers in place, you can now add a utility class to any element, and it will always win over a component style without any important and without writing complex selectors. The layers handle the priority automatically. The has selector context-aware components. Until recently, CSS could only select elements based on what they are or what class they have, not based on what they contain. If you wanted to style a card differently when it had a featured badge inside it, you needed JavaScript to add an extra class to the card element itself. Has changes this. It lets you select an element based on what it contains. The has pseudo class lets you style a parent element based on its children. It is read as select this element if it has this inside it. No JavaScript required. For example, highlight a featured service card. In part 1, we build a service card. With has, we can style one of the cards differently. The card styles itself based on what is inside it. Add the following CSS in the layer components. Now add a badge to whichever card you want to feature. The card styles itself automatically. You can move the badge to a different card, and that card becomes featured instead. No CSS changes needed. Add this HTML inside one of the article tags in the services section of index.html. This is a typical example. You can also use has in other ways, such as styling a form when user input is invalid or styling the NAV differently, depending on whether the mobile checkbox is checked. Note that has is supported in all modern browsers, Chrome 105 Plus, Safari 15.4 Plus, and Firefox 121 Plus. This covers well over 95% of users in 2026. No fallback is needed for a new business site. Your website looks great, loads fast, and works on every screen size. But there is still a layer that most people skip, and it is the layer that directly affects how Google ranks your site and whether it qualifies for special search features. This section covers two things: schema.org structured data and a final accessibility audit. By the end of this section, your website will be eligible for rich results in Google search, fully audited for accessibility, and production ready for real clients. Schema.org structured data. When Google crawls your website, it reads your HTML. But HTML tells Google what your content looks like. That is, headings, paragraphs, images. It does not tell Google what your content means. What is structured data? Structured data solves this. It is a block of code you add to your pages that tells Google exactly what kind of business you are, what services you offer, where you're located, what your FAQs are, and how to display your link in search results. The format we use is called JSON-LD. It sits inside a single script tag in your HTML code. It does not change anything visible on the page, and it does not affect your styles or layout. JSON-LD stands for JavaScript Object Notation for Linked Data. Despite the name, it has nothing to do with JavaScript running on your page. It is simply a structured text block Google reads silently. We will add 3 schema types across our website, one per page where is most relevant. They are 1. Local business. Add in the index.html page. It tells Google your business name, address, phone, hours, and website. 2. FAQPage. Add in the index.html page to connect to the FAQ section we built in part 2. This will enable FAQ dropdowns in Google search. 3. Service. Add in the services.html page. It describes each service you offer so Google can display them as rich cards in SCRP. Schema 1. Local business. Index.html. Open index.html. Find the closing/head tag, then copy and paste the following code block directly above it. After pasting the above code, replace every placeholder value with your real business details before going live. A quick explanation of the key fields. 1. At type, local business tells Google this is a physical or service area business. If your business does not have a physical location, do not use this. Instead, use any of organization, corporation, online business, or professional service. 2. Telephone enables a tap-to-call button on mobile search results. 3. Opening hours specification displays your business hours directly in the Google search card. 4. Same as links your website to your social profiles, reinforcing brand identity in search. 5. Logo. Google may display this logo in knowledge panels and search cards. Schema 2. FAQPage. Index.html. In part 2, we build a native HTML FAQ accordion using the details and summary elements. We said at the time that this structure is a strong candidate for FAQ-rich results in Google search. Now we make that happen. The FAQPage schema connects your FAQ content to Google's rich result system. When configured correctly, Google can display your FAQ questions and answers as expandable dropdowns directly inside the search result. No click required. Still in the head of index.html, copy and paste a second script block below the local business one. Update the question and answer text to match your actual FAQ content exactly. Schema 3. Service. Services.html. Each service you offer can be described with a service schema type. This gives Google the structured signal it needs to understand and categorize your offerings and In some cases, display them as rich service cards. Copy and paste the following code block above the /head, closing tag, and services.html. Update the name, description, and offers fields to match your actual services. Testing your structured data. Structured data cannot be tested locally. You need a live URL. However, Google provides a free tool called the Rich Results Test that checks your schema even before it's indexed. Once your site is deployed, test each page using the Google Rich Results Test tool. Search.google.com/test/rich-results. Following these steps. 1. Paste your live page URL into the tool. 2. Click Test URL. 3. Scroll down. You will see which rich result types your page qualifies for. 4. Any errors or warnings will be listed with the specific field causing the problem. 5. Fix the error in your HTML, redeploy, and test again. Accessibility audit. Accessibility is often treated as a nice-to-have, but it is not. An inaccessible website excludes real users. That is, people who navigate with a keyboard instead of a mouse, people who use screen readers, people with low vision or color blindness. Beyond ethics, accessibility is also a legal requirement in many countries. And it directly improves your SEO because Google's crawlers behave very similarly to screen readers. A site that is easy to navigate with a screen reader is also easy for Google to index. We will audit most relevant accessibility areas for our website. You can include other options on your own later. A skip navigation link. A skip navigation link is a hidden link at the very top of every page. When a keyboard user presses Tab as their first action on the page, this link becomes visible. Clicking it jumps them directly to the main content, bypassing the navigation bar they have already heard on every previous page. Without this, a keyboard user must tab through every single navigation link on every page load before reaching the content. On a site with 8 NAV links, that is 8 tab presses on every page visit. Open all 4 HTML files and add the following line as the very first element inside body before the header tag. Now add a matching ID to the main element on every page. Find the opening main tag and update it. Now add the CSS. Open CSS/styles.css and paste these rules at the top of the file, just below the base reset. Two, robots.txt and sitemap.xml. These two files are not accessibility features, but they're non-negotiable for any production website. We include them in this audit section because they're the final checklist items before a site can be called truly production ready. The robots.txt file. The robots.txt file tells search engine crawlers which pages they're allowed to index and which they should ignore. Without it, crawlers will still index your site, but having the file in place is a signal of a well-maintained professional website. Create a new file named robots.txt in the root of your business site folder, the same folder as index.html, and paste the following. In the robots.txt file, user agent. Asterisk means this rule applies to all crawlers. Allow / means they can access everything. The sitemap line tells them where to find the map of your pages. sitemap.xml. A sitemap is a file that lists every page on your website. You submit it to Google Search Console so Google knows exactly what to crawl and index. Without a sitemap, Google will still find your page, but a sitemap makes the process faster and more reliable. Create a new file named sitemap.xml in the root of your business site folder. Paste the following, replacing the domain with your own. Priority does not affect ranking. It is a hint to the crawler about which pages matter most. 1.0 is the highest priority, homepage, and 0.7 is lower, contact. After deploying your site, submit the sitemap to Google Search Console by following these steps. 1. Go to search.google.com/search-console and sign in with a Google account. 2. Add your domain as a new property and verify ownership. Netlify makes this easy. 3. In the left sidebar, click Sitemaps. 4. Enter sitemap.xml in the input field and click Submit. 5. Google will confirm receipt and begin crawling your pages within a few days. You have built a complete, multi-page business website using nothing but HTML and CSS. It is structured, semantic, responsive, and accessible. But right now, it only exists on your computer. Nobody else can see it. In this section, we make that change permanent. We will take everything inside your business site folder and put it on the live internet with a real URL, a secure HTTPS connection, and a global content delivery network, all for free in under 5 minutes. We will use Netlify, the most beginner-friendly and professional-grade static hosting platform available today. It is the same platform used by startups, agencies, and Fortune 500 companies to host fast, static websites. And the free tier is genuinely unlimited for personal and small business projects. What is static hosting and why it matters? A static website is a collection of pre-built files, HTML, CSS, and images that the server sends directly to the browser, exactly as they are. There is no database query, no server-side code, nothing to process. The file goes straight from the server to the user. That is why static sites are fast. There is nothing in between the file and the visitor. And because everything we have built in this series is pure HTML and CSS, no server logic, no database, our site is a perfect static website. What CDN does for your site? A CDN, known as a content delivery network, stores copies of your website files on servers spread across the world. When a visitor in Lagos opens your site, they get the files from the nearest server, not from one data center in the United States. This alone cuts load time dramatically for international visitors. Netlify automatically puts your site on their global CDN the moment you deploy. No configuration required. Your site loads fast everywhere on day one. Add a custom 404 page. When a visitor lands on a page that does not exist, a broken link, or a mistyped URL, they see a 404 error. By default, Netlify shows a plain, branded error screen. A professional website shows a helpful, styled 404 page that keeps visitors on your site. Create the 404 page. Create a new file in your project root named 404.html. Then, copy and paste the following code. Netlify detects any file named 404.html in your project root and automatically serves it for all missing pages. No configuration file needed. Prepare your project for deployment. Before deploying, do a quick checklist. Open your project folder and confirm the following 4 things. 1. Folder structure is clean. Your project folder should look exactly like this and nothing else. 1. Business site. A. Index.html. B. About.html. C. Services.html. D. Contact.html. E. CSS-barra. I. Styles of CSS. F. Images/I. HeroBG.jpg. 2. Why choose us.jpg. 3. About team.jpg. Evitspenge. 2. All links use relative paths. Open each HTML file and confirm that the style sheet link reads ref equals css/styles.css and that image source is red src equals images/filename.jpg. Absolute paths like c://users/yourname/desktop/ will break on any server. Relative paths work everywhere. 3. Your OG image URL uses your real domain. In the head of each page, the OG image tag should reference https://www.yourdomain.com/images/og-image.jpg. For now, leave the placeholder domain in place. We will update it with your real Netlify URL after deploying the site. 4. Images are optimized. Keep each image under 300 kilobytes if possible. Large images are the single most common cause of slow websites. If you have not resized your images yet, free tools like Squished@app, or TinyPNG, tinypng.com, can compress them in seconds directly in the browser with no software to install. Deploy to Netlify, drag and drop. This is the fastest deployment method. No command line, no heat, no configuration files. Just drag your folder into a browser window. Follow these steps. Create a free Netlify account. 1. Go to netlify.com and click Sign Up. 2. Sign up with GitHub. This is recommended. If you do not have a GitHub account, sign up using your email address. With a GitHub account, you can perform continuous deployment. This means every time you save your files to GitHub, Netlify automatically detects the change and redeploys your site. 3. If you used an email, verify your email address if prompted. 4. You will land on your Netlify dashboard. Leave it open. 5. On your Netlify dashboard, scroll down until you see a section that reads, "Want to deploy a new site without connecting to Git?" Drag and drop your site output folder here. 6. Open your File Explorer or Finder. Drag the entire business site folder and drop it directly onto that zone in the browser. 7. Netlify upload your files. This takes 10 to 30 seconds. 8. When the upload finishes, Netlify generates a random URL for your site. 9. Click that URL. Your business website is now live on the internet with HTTPS enabled and accessible from any device worldwide. Update your OG image URLs. Now that your site is live and you have your real URL, go back to the head of all 4 HTML pages. Find the OG URL and OG image tags and replace the placeholder domain with your actual domain. The fastest way to do this in VS Code is with find and replace across all files. Press Ctrl+Shift+H in Windows or CMD+Shift+H in Mac to open find and replace across all files. Then, find www.ksms.com, ng, or yourdomain.com and replace with your actual Netlify domain, .netlify.app, or your custom domain. When you are done, verify your live site by doing the following. Run PageSpeed Insights, pagespeed.web.dev, for a live URL performance score. Test your form submission and test with a mobile device. In conclusion, from a blank folder to a live, production-grade business website, built with nothing but HTML, CSS, and the modern browser platform, we've proven that frameworks are a choice, not a requirement. The native web is fast, capable, and ready for real client work without adding a single dependency. Everything you've built here, the semantic structure, the performance optimizations, the CSS architecture, the animations, transfers directly to any professional project you take on. If this series helped you, subscribe, like, and share, It genuinely helps this channel reach developers and designers who need to see that the web platform is more powerful than they think.